I am Andra Annette, and I am here with Andrea Hunt today, and we're going to be reading from one of her books, Overcoming Sabotage. But in her personal life, she's also a transformational and empowerment coach, and she helps people overcome limiting beliefs and really live a life that they are meant to live. So please help me welcome Andrea Hunt. Hello, hello, hello. How are you today?
Hello, Andra. It is so nice to be here. I am doing wonderful. Thank you.
I'm so glad that you're here. I love what you do. I love the title of this book. I think that we all self-sabotage at some points in our life.
Mm,
Either we're uncomfortable with failure, and there's a lot of people that are uncomfortable with success as well. Like when things are
absolutely.
going really good in their life, they're afraid that the other foot's gonna fall and they kind of self-sabotage. I was one of those people.
Yep.
So
I mean,
let's talk about that a little bit because this is what you help people with.
absolutely. Yeah, the thing is that what most people, I mean, they can find it even a bit confusing is like when they're in their comfort zone, let's say that they've had a job for 10 years, they feel like they're competent, they feel smart and capable. And the second they want to do like a YouTube channel or they want to start a side business or maybe they want to be an entrepreneur, and that's when all of your little negative self-talk and limiting beliefs tend to kind of rise to the surface because all of a sudden it's not safe anymore. You don't know what's going to happen. And people end up self-sabotaging a lot of times, I find, from fears and resistance. And so what does that look like? People might work a year on a website, for example, that they're really excited about. They're going to launch their Shopify site or something like that, and they can't publish it and they don't know why. Or maybe they get all of this equipment and they want to start a podcast or something like that, but they just keep procrastinating and putting it off. They make excuses, they have a productive procrastination, where you find everything else to do except for what you said you were going to do. And the thing is, like, nobody's making them do this. And these are things that they want to do. And it can be really confusing and also very confronting because it's like, why can't I do it? This is what I want. And so the thing is, once you can get down to the root cause, like you said, even like with a fear of success, fear of failure is something that most people can very easily relate to. But people don't always think that, like, they worry about what if I actually got successful and I couldn't handle it? What if I was then in the spotlight and then everybody like came at me and like, it wasn't okay and they judged me and critiqued me. And so they end up kind of, your subconscious wants to keep you safe. So you try to avoid it, even if it's something you want.
I agree. I agree. I think that the experiences that we have in our life, if we don't deal with them and we don't confront them, that they keep replaying and we keep drawing
Absolutely.
those same types of things to ourselves because the energy we put out is exactly what we pull back in,
Hmm.
right? So I had to work through that because I knew exactly what I was doing. I knew that I was sabotaging it because every time things were going really good, somebody would die in my life or something other traumatic. I would get cancer. There was really good and really
Yeah.
bad, and it always came together. And I said, "Oh no, no." So, and then I had to realize that life kind of goes that way anyway, right? And you got to take the good and the ugly, right? And you really don't get more than you can handle. I tried to see the good in it and how much bad I was actually attracting, right? So what my part in that was, right? So um a lot of people struggle with that. And I think a lot of it is the mindset that
Hmm.
you help them with. I think 9 out of 10% of everything that's going on with most people in the world is mindset, because we were brought up to believe we have to look outside of ourselves for what we need,
Absolutely.
you know?
Well, and a lot of it is belief wounding as well, because we might, feel confident up into a certain point in our lives. And then, I mean, during the pandemic, I had a lot of people who had just lost their job, or maybe like they were in lockdown with their partner and they realized this is not the relationship for me anymore. So then they're going through a divorce during lockdown. So, I mean, those kind of situations also can really test our inner resolve, and it can really take away our confidence. And so then the next time that we want to go do something, we don't have that inner fortitude anymore, because then we're like, nope, because I thought I had it before and it got taken away. And of course, it does take time to get that back. But also there's ones that are like, societal ones. People have beliefs like, if I'm over 40, I can't go back to school. I'm just too old. Or, if I'm an introvert, I can't possibly be a good public speaker. And of course, like these are things that we might always tell ourselves, and it's not necessarily true. They're actually like Simon Sinek always says that he's an introvert, and yet he's an incredible speaker and people person. So it just goes to show that like a lot of times it's actually us holding ourselves back. It's not actually, our environment and the other things that are happening.
I agree with that. I really do. And I think a lot of it is fear-based, like you
Hmm.
said, you know, whether it be successes they're afraid of or um just not liking what they're working towards. Because you have people that work their, years towards a degree and then get into it and say, this isn't what I wanted at
Hmm.
all.
Yep.
Just like that marriage, they've invested 20 years in a marriage,
Right.
something like the lockdown happens, and they're like, wow, how did I not see this coming? Right.
Hmm.
So and it does wear on your resolve as a person. Absolutely, Andrea. I agree with you
Hmm.
100%. You know,
Yep.
so you do need those good support systems. So read us a little section. I did forget to tell you guys that this show is narrative nights. I'm so sorry. I didn't it in the beginning of the show, but this is narrative nights, and we are here with Andrea Hunt. Okay, so read some of your story to us.
All right. So what should I read here? Let me see. Okay. Breaking free from self-sabotage. A guide to emotional regulation using the emotional freedom technique. One of my favorite quotes is from Brad Yates, who says, self-sabotage is really just misguided self-love. Even when it might not be helpful, for many of us, this might look like making excuses, blaming, procrastinating, giving up too easily, or not even trying because we're doomed to fail anyway. Does that sound familiar to anybody? So
Yes.
I so what do I know about self-sabotage? Well, I'll tell you a little secret. Like everybody, I've had my own share of battles with self-doubt and self-sabotage. Today, I'm a transformational life coach and EFT practitioner who's now made stepping out of my comfort zone a continuous habit, even when my confidence feels wobbly, and I scare the stuff out of myself. I've moved across the world by myself 6 times and changing my career, launching my own business in another country. You don't need to be superwoman to get out of your own way. You just need to have EFT tapping as your superpower. And I figured it out and I can help you too. So, what are some of the reasons that we self sabotage? So, firstly, it's important to understand that our subconscious impulses and emotions drive most of our life decisions, behaviors, and responses. From what I've seen with my clients, several main emotional mindset blocks can lead us to self sabotage. The first one, limiting beliefs, ingrained ideas and narratives from things that we heard, saw, learned from our environment, or things that we actually experienced firsthand. These beliefs affect like what we think that the world is like, what we believe is possible, and what we can and cannot do, or what we should or shouldn't do. Also, imposter syndrome, one of the strongest mindset blocks and creators of self-doubt. Negative self-talk might convince us that we're a fraud, everyone else is better, we don't deserve our success. The third one is fear and worry, which we touched on a bit. Strong emotional responses evoked from the thought that everything could go wrong, we could fail, or if we succeeded, we might not be able to handle it. We might mess up everything. So, how do we know if we're self sabotaging? So, the truth is, most of us don't consciously say to ourselves, okay, I'm going to hold myself back and mess up things. And I want to keep myself back from what I want. We believe in ourselves and we push ourselves out of our comfort zones. And then something really funny happens. We stop ourselves. So, what are these common forms of self sabotage? Playing it safe. When we fear change or security is our top priority, we might keep ourselves back and call it being realistic, even when we've outgrown situations and people. Procrastination, where we put things off because we don't have or make time. We have all or nothing thinking, like, I can't start eating healthy today because I already had fast food at lunch. Blame, when we can't succeed because of them. They keep us busy. No one helps us. No one wants us to succeed. It's everyone else's fault. Perfectionism. We can't do it 100% perfectly, so we're not going to do it at all. We have to wait until we're 100% ready. We can't start or finish something because it's not yet perfect. Defeatism. When we see things we want and think, ugh, why bother trying? Or we try, but we give up easily because we assume that it's just ruined, too late, or not worth it the second we encounter a setback. Control. We try to control everything by doing it all ourselves. We may not let others help, or we're exhausted, burned out, and irritated at everyone and everything. Or we get stuck. So we get into fight, flight, or freeze mode because every action or thought has a what if tied to it. And we're too scared to take action. And we keep going.
No,
Okay.
we'll leave it there because we want to leave something for the imagination. Because if this
Yes.
is something that you relate to, then you should
Yeah.
absolutely purchase.
Raise your hand if you
You
can
should
relate to any
absolutely
of those things.
purchase this book, right? Because I don't think that people read enough. So that's kind of why I have this podcast because I think that literacy is way down, and I think that instead of spending as much time on our personal devices, if we actually read and educate ourselves, we'll be that much more ahead of the game, right? Because everything we
Absolutely.
do is about changing and evolving, right? And that book might be just what somebody needs to get over perfectionism, right? So if this is something you actually, I identified it with almost everything you said and was in one of those stages at just about every point in my life. So I was like, boy, she's talking if this is my book.
So check,
I,
check, check.
yeah. So I can absolutely relate. So if you find that this is you, then Andrea, where can they get this book from?
So this book is available on Amazon. It's just called Overcoming Self-Sabotage and 11 Stories of How to Get Rid of Destructive Habits. But if they're living, excuse me, if they're living in Europe, then I actually have signed copies that I can send people. And they can just go to my website at www.dreahunt.com. And I will write it out like it's a great gift or whatever, or somebody needs a Christmas present or something, and I can send it anywhere in the EU.
That's wonderful. So if you can tell the audience one powerful, impactful thing from the book or your experience with dealing with self-sabotage, what would that be today?
So the way that I think about it is with anything that you want to do that scares you, confidence is like a muscle. It's not like you go to the gym, you do one sit up, and then you're like, okay, where's my six pack? Do I have it yet? Like, obviously, it's going to take you a little bit of moving forward, stepping outside of your comfort zone. And so, where I use EFT tapping is you check in with yourself, you figure out whether it's a fear, whether it's a resistance, and what's behind it. And by using EFT tapping, you're releasing that nervous negative response in your system so that you can do the thing and then you can recalibrate by tapping afterwards. And that's how you keep moving forward and, expanding your circle bigger and bigger and bigger outside of your comfort zone. And it's amazing. Like I never even did podcasts like several years ago. Like, and this was one of my things. I was like, nope, I'm going to do it. And so I just, kept doing it. I kept tapping, kept making the challenge a little bit bigger. And now it's a problem.
I love that. I know it works. You've done things with me before, and I I know they help. I absolutely do. And I've done it with other people before. I know that it is about like any habit. It is replacing those thoughts and those beliefs. And this is just another way of approaching that. That's something that you can do yourself or with the help of someone else. I think it's done better with someone else. I think someone
Mm-hmm.
as experienced as you could do it on yourself because you are experienced with all the pressure points and everybody and everything. But I think that someone who's a novice really needs help. So
Yep.
don't attempt this at home. You might repattern the things you're trying to get rid of.
I always tell people that like daily tapping is kind of like brushing your teeth every day. It's something that you can do for your emotional health and mental health. But when you really want to kind of do some deep cleaning and clearing, that's when you go to a dentist. You don't do your own stuff. So while we can do our daily maintenance, it's good for deeper work. especially with belief wounds that might be tied to some things in your childhood or whatever, that we work with a practitioner so they can help us, to move
I,
through
I
it.
I agree. I fully agree. I would never go I would never try to do my own deep cleaning. That's
Exactly.
so, guys, I want to thank our guest today, Andrea Hunt, for coming in. I want to thank you for being such a fabulous audience on Narrative Nights. And don't forget, Andrea, they can get your book on Amazon and you can go to her website. We will list that below in the comments. Okay. So, thanks, guys. Have a good evening.